one of the strategies that I wanted to just kind of highlight before we jump back in and kind of review through the dashboard and talk about some things that we're learning as, we've implemented this same dashboard for me to be able to see. And then also we have a separate one for just marketing, for what marketing looks at. We had been using the dashboard inside of EOS, Entrepreneurial Organization System. And this is better. This is so much better to be able to see and utilize it. So I cannot stress enough for you guys to get this set up, take advantage of it, carve out time, even if it's part of your Sunday planning when you go through and you update it and being able to look at it. But the strategy that Nicole shared with me from Strategic on Friday, this document, but the strategy, it really is, it's the 4 C's. And it was, as I was reading through all 10 of the strategies, this one kind of stood out, and I can't emphasize it enough. You've heard me talk about the 4 C's: commitment to confidence. And confidence has kind of been a word that has been on my mind. For one, Matt is pushing me to dive deeper on it, going through a book called The Confidence Gap. But I was reading this strategy from Dan Sullivan, and he said, forget about your difficulties, focus on your progress. And anytime that you're in a difficult, challenging, scary time, it's when we can make our biggest personal and professional progress. And, the single thing, right? Are you willing to commit to this? Commitment. It is the number one thing. It's where it has to start. It has to start with our level of commitment. And it's the whole reverse engineer. What is it that you want to achieve? What is the goal? And then what is it going to take to achieve the goal? And that's really where the dashboard comes in, right? For our business, is what are you willing to achieve? Let's reverse engineer and break it down. And is that something you're willing to commit to? Talked about Coach Elizabeth. We've got a bigger goal that we're trying to achieve. We're trying to build our resume so we can apply for Badwater in 24. And part of that, you have to have X number of races in a certain time period under your belt, and they have recommended races that they want you to complete. And so that's kind of our goal for this year, but really getting into it. And we're in dialed in mode right now. So like every day is dialed in up until our first race in May. And so that's what it takes. And same thing for our business is, okay, well, what do we need to achieve? How many clients do we need to serve this year with our service, with our value proposition? And we break it down to, okay, well, what do we need to do? What do we need to do this 90 days? And we get real clear on that during KT, right? Because we do it every 90 days. And so it really makes us refocus and recommit to the goal. And then, okay, well, what is off in our value proposition? And then what is the plan? And then who do we need to get? Because for some of you, just in agent mode, you're just trying to sling as many houses as you can, which is awesome. And by far, you make the most amount of money in real estate is being able to do that. But when you get to a certain point, like kind of even where Sam's at, where Matt's at, really trying to grow and build out kind of closer to that path, to the CEO path, then it becomes a who equation. We can get to growth, but to go from growth to scale becomes who. And you may look at that and you're like, I'm good. I just want to keep slinging houses. I'm going to, take my commissions. I'm going to stack as much cash as I can. I'm going to invest in long-term investments that will pay off. And that's going to be my freedom, right? That's what I'm utilizing to build. I love it. That's probably one of the best ways, right, to acquire and build some wealth is to sling some houses and stack as much cash as you can. But you have to ask yourself, is that something I'm willing to commit to? Once we commit, we have to have the courage. We have to have the courage to show up. And I've been talking about kind of the confidence gap, and we have to understand that the actions of confidence come first and the feelings of confidence come later. And this takes time and effort, takes courage. We have to put it on the line. We have to show up. And once we're showing up, then we have to be like, okay, well, what's the one capability that I need to develop. And like, man, if I could just increase this one thing, it could be a skill, could be a relationship, it could be a hire, it could be implementing this lead gen marketing ad strategy, right? It's something that we've got to learn. What is the capability that we've got to develop? And then from there, we are going to start collecting small wins, and those small wins compound over time will build our confidence. And in the confidence gap, they talk about the four things in their confidence cycle. And number one is practice the skills, right? So what is it? What is it that we need to practice? What are the skills we need to practice? And one of these things can be measured on our dashboard. And so if you guys have gone through the National Association of Expert Advisors certified home selling advisor process, we know that it takes about 25 to 30 times delivering that process to a potential seller before you really develop the confidence enough to where you feel comfortable that you can take it and put it in front of anybody. And I literally can step in with that process and go list a house tomorrow. It's just right things, right order, understanding the process. But I've done it so many times that it's just like I could do it in my sleep. And that's where we have to get to be able to build that confidence. But in the beginning, heck no, I didn't have that, right? I had to practice and practice those skills, apply them effectively. That's the second step, right? So practice and then apply them, put them into action. The third is assess the results. This is where your dashboard comes in. This is where the autopsy, this is where the reflection. How many of you, when you get off of whatever type of appointment you're on, you're meeting with the seller, you're meeting with the buyer, you're meeting with the new potential agent that's going to come on board. Maybe you're meeting with an investor, a builder. One of the things that we did in our office is that we did an autopsy report on every company generated listing opportunity. So when, say, for example, Stace would run that appointment, he would then go through a checklist of, did I do all of the things that I should have done? And we want to make sure that autopsy is there. But we would also know that within the certified home selling advisor process, that if you got an objection, you skipped a step or you didn't articulate something correctly. So, but that's the autopsy. And we've all done it, right? You walk out of an appointment, you're like, I talked way too much. I didn't listen enough. I didn't ask enough questions. Or, dang, the other deciding partner wasn't there. And I forgot to ask when I set the appointment, is all parties responsible for the decision of selling this property going to be present? Like, we've all done that, right? We've all made that mistake, but that's the autopsy, what we have to learn so we can correct it, so we can make the adjustments and we can move forward. And then the final piece of there that they're talking about is modify as needed. So we practice, we apply, we assess, we modify. And that's really what we're looking, and that's the power of being able to see, right? What we see, what we reveal, we can heal. And that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to learn, make the tweaks, make the adjustments, and modify and just keep moving. And that's where, looking at this to develop the confidence is that the actions have to happen before the feelings of confidence are there.